Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. My name is Blackjack Johnny, and hopefully today I'm going to be showing you how to create a detailed mortar strike in our terrain. I'm sure you've seen them in the stock and the custom maps out there. So I'm just going to quickly show you how we can go about making one of these. If you've not really worked with terrain too much yet, then I would probably suggest that you get a little bit more practice with it, but I'm going to do my best to make it as simple as possible. So to start with, I'm just going to draw out a simple brush, and I'm going to make it 2 grids squared, and I'm going to come up to patch, simple terrain, 2 by 2. I'm going to press V on my keyboard to bring up my verts, drag out and select 2, press Ctrl Shift A to add a couple more vert lines in there. And we're going to create a circular piece of terrain here, so I'm just going to manipulate these vertices. I'm going to come down to grid 8. I've just drag out and select these verts, and I'm just moving them in a particular way. I'm just selecting them and then using Alt left click to drag them around, and I'm dragging them in twice in and then twice up, just to create this basic shape for our circular patch here. I'm just going to give it a base texture so you can see it a little better in my 3D window. If I just select the patch, you can see these lines coming here. They're called quad edges or edge quads, and we can actually affect the line direction of this line. And this is just going to help us line things up. So if I come up here to my toolbar and click that tab on, I'm just going to left click on any of those points that I want to move and just switch around the edge. And that's just going to help us when we come in to add more vert lines in like this. You'll see what I mean. If you didn't do that and you started adding these in, you'll see what I mean. So let's continue now creating more of a circular patch here. I've just added those lines in. I'm just going to pull these out slightly. I changed down to a grid 4 to do this. And again, I'm just going to cycle some of these edge quads again. You can see there, it's going to keep things really nicely lined up for us in Radiant. It's also going to help us with our texturing, so it's worthwhile just to do that. So let's just finish that circular patch off there. So that's done. We don't have to be too precise with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, because in actual fact, if it was too perfect, it just wouldn't look right. So the rougher it is, the more natural it looks, which is good news. So next, I'm going to draw in this brush, and I'm going to create a sort of half circle shape with this piece of terrain here. So I've drawn out that brush. I'm going to come to patch, simple terrain, 2 and 2. Press B on your keyboard to bring up the vert, select 2, press Ctrl Shift A to add a couple more lines in. I'm just adding enough lines in to be able to connect this piece of terrain up to our circular piece of terrain. I'm just going to switch down to a lower grid, and I'm just going to manually line these up best as possible. When it comes to these end pieces, I'm going to drag that down and place it there, drag that vert down and place it there, and now I'm just going to start shaping this around just to create a half circle around this. The good news is we'll only have to do this once, because we can just copy this one. But I'm just going to carry on lining this up, and I'm going to try and keep its shape as best as possible, because I'm going to be adding more vert lines into this patch a little bit later on, so I need to keep it relatively balanced for the width all around this this patch here. I'm just going to give myself enough room to work in, so I'm going to make this slightly wider. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It really will actually help if this is slightly rough. So I'm just going to come in and just quick shape in this. Okay, I'm pretty much happy with that now. Know when to quit. So I'm just going to select my circular patch as well, and I'm just going to come in and vert weld these just to make sure they're all welded together. There's no gaps between these. And once I'm finished and happy with that, I'm just going to deselect by pressing escape. I'll reselect that patch we just created and copy it by pressing the spacebar. Press R to enter free rotate and left click drag to rotate around. I'm going to line up best as I can. As you can see, it's not exactly, we haven't done a great job of making it square, which is fine, no problem. Okay, so we've got those in place, and at this point I'm going to add some more vert columns for these circular patches here, and we're going to use these to create a little bit of a shape to give the impression that dirt's been flung everywhere and it's created this mortar hole. So I'm just going to press V on my keyboard. I'm use Shift left click to select this entire row, and I'm just going to left click drag this up. I think I'm in grid 2 for this. It's quite a subtle manipulation, but I'm just going to repeat it on this other side here, if I can. Oh, hello, it's gone a little bit wrong. I've lost myself. Control Z. Let's try that again. Use shift left click to select the row. God, I'm making a meal of this. Okay, there we go. We got it now. I made that harder than it needed to be. Hey, it happens. Cap your textures on a regular basis. Keep them lined up. I'm just going to manipulate these center verts here. I'm just going to drag out and select all of them. Alt left click to drag them down. I'm just going to pull that center vert a little bit further down so we can create our mortar impression here. So that's just about it for the mortar hole itself. I'm just going to tidy that edge up a little bit just to help us line things up. So we need to connect some more terrain to this. I'm just going to switch back down into grid 8 and I'm going to draw out this brush. And I'm going to create a simple terrain patch. And I'm going to give this terrain patch 5 and 5. This should give us enough vert columns to do what we need to do. And I'm just going to press V on my keyboard and I'm going to shift these columns around just so they line up with the outside edge of our mortar hole here. With that done, I'm now going to split this piece of terrain just by selecting a column and pressing Control Shift X to split it until I've cut out that middle area there. Delete that away. I'm now going to quickly line up these verts that I've already got here. And we're going to be adding some more in to line everything up. But I'm just going to do these really quickly. So with that done, I'm going to add some more vert lines in here. And I'm just going to add enough to be able to connect this piece of terrain to our mortar hole. And later on I'm going to disperse some of these verts so it makes it easier for us to connect other terrain too, but I'll get to that a little bit later. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my best to line these up just manually here. Get used to doing things manually. You actually end up with more control over your terrain, I think. I really use than any other patch editor. I tend to manipulate a lot manually. So I'm just going to come in here and line these up best I can. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to select our circular patches first, and then I'm going to select our surrounding terrain. I'm just going to come in here and vert weld. I'm just going to be quite careful. Just select the verts that you do actually want to weld. Just left click drag over the two verts you want and press W to weld them. I'm just going to come in and make sure these are all welded up. Everything's looking good, I think. Yep, no gaps between that terrain and our mortar hole. So once we've got this all nicely welded up, I'm going to quickly show you how to disperse verts throughout this patch. So we've got everything connected up to our mortar hole, but I want to have less verts on the outside of this just to make it easier for us to connect other bits of terrain to. So I'm just selecting these verts, pressing W to weld them, and I'm just moving them back into line with our grid. And like I say, the only reason I'm doing this is just to make it easier for us to connect other terrain to. Just be aware that when you do this, you won't be able to add any more vert lines into this patch. So if you want more, add them before you do this. Otherwise, all the work you've just done will be wasted. So I'm just going to carry on doing that and line it up with our grid. And as you can see there, if we wanted to add more terrain in around it, it would be very easy to do so. So that's helped us out a lot. I'm just going to come in here and switch some of these edge quads around again. I'm just going to keep this as uniform as possible, just to help us out in Radiant for the most part. And that's pretty much it for this part of the tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to go about alpha blending this and bring it alive with some texture. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about checking our light grid just to make sure there's no errors in there. We've been doing some heavy vert manipulation in here, so it's important that we check our light grid. So that's it for this tutorial. Please do watch the second one. I'll see you in that one. Thanks very much.